Like self-care, work-life balance is this mythical thing we all strive for, but few ever achieve. Now, despite its unicorn status, I like to think work-life balance is doable, maybe just not the way you think. In my decade as a clinical hypnotherapist, I've worked with many hundreds of clients, and the majority of them came to me at the worst points in their lives. They had no choice but to learn about balance. So let's find out what they figured out. Before we get into it, let's get rid of the work-life balance title, because nowadays we all juggle so much that the lines between work and home are blurred. You might not even be doing paid work at the moment, but you still have lots of obligations and pressures. How about we just think of it as your life in balance? Sounds a bit better already, doesn't it? Now, interestingly, balance is always what our brains and our bodies are trying to achieve, even when they seem to be at their worst. So you know the bad back that actually stems from the knee injury? That's just our body trying to find balance within itself. Or the oxytocin and endorphins that get released when we cry. We're always trying to regain balance. So let's talk about balance and 7 ways that you might want to think about getting a little bit more balance in your life. Now, one of the most brilliant things a client told me was that they'd figured out, because not all their weeks were the same, that they were never going to manage a weekly work-life balance. And in fact, it was stressing them out even more. So what they did was they stretched it out over a month. It meant that they could plan their downtime better, not resent the parts of the month where they were flat out. And when they were quieter, they could actually enjoy the quiet moments without any guilt, because they knew busier times were coming. Now, this makes so much sense. You might stretch yours out over a month, a couple of months, a quarter, maybe even a year. And it's just thinking about the ebb and flow of your time and how you can enjoy every part of it. The next thing to realise is that you can have it all, but just not at the same time. It's about priorities. I know it. We hate having to choose, and physiologically, we actually hate the idea of missing out. But if we say yes to everything, we cannot possibly give everything the attention it deserves. And you know when you're overcommitting, you feel frazzled, overwhelmed, or wrung out. We have to prioritise what is most important on that day, that week, or in our lives. Sometimes this means we have to make hard choices, but to badly paraphrase one of my favourite client book recommendations by the author Mark Manson, it's the wonderfully titled The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***. Life is not about giving 0 f***s. It's about choosing which f***s to give. If we give too many, we're spread too thinly. And if we give none, life feels pointless. So it's about choosing what we care about enough to put the miles in for. Now, 3 out of my 7 top tips for life balance is that guilt does not make you better at anything. And in fact, guilt is often the conflict of what's expected of you and what you know to be important for you and the people who are really important for you. By recognising, first of all, your intrinsic value without all of the things that you do to prove your value. And then by focusing on your values and choosing priorities in your world that are impactful for you and those who are precious to you, it gets much easier. You get better at shrugging off other people's stuff. Now, while this is really simple to talk about, it is really tough to do. And that's why actually most people only really figure it out whilst they're in therapy. Number 4 in my list. Who are you without your work? This is particularly useful for the passion-led among us, those people who love what they do. When we love what we do, we tend to think we should be doing it all the time. But you can have too much of a good thing, and too much of a good thing tends to lead to burnout in the end. Which leads me nicely on to the fact that you cannot pour from an empty cup. You are not a machine. You are in fact one of Earth's many millions of species, and optimal conditions for you to thrive are pretty basic actually. Sleep, 8 hours, hydration, 2 litres or more if you're a little bit hench like me, food, enough, and with the variety of nutrients to feed and maintain your body and your greedy brain. and it's 2% of the weight of your body and takes 20% of the calories. Movement, especially in nature. There is too much science to even start discussing the benefits of movement and exercise today, but if you are interested, just do a quick Google search and you'll see there is plenty out there. And play. There is a growing body of science and research around rest, downtime and play. It gives our brains a well-needed break, it gives us time to process, and a little change up, all of which make our brains and us more effective and much happier. We are creatures of our environmental cues, so delineating between work and non-work spaces, particularly if you work from home, really does help create a sense of balance in our lives. It also means we need a definitive off time. One of my clients would listen to their relaxation audio when it was time to stop work. It meant that they could engage with and enjoy their downtime without having to worry about work, which of course meant that they were refreshed and more effective the next day. Now the last one may or may not apply to you, and it's about side hustles. They seem to be very popular at the moment and don't look like they're going away anywhere. So it's still work, and you've got to put it into the equation, even if it's a hobby business that you really enjoy, because you might be surprised just how much time it takes up. Add it up. See if you're in fact working 50, 60 or 70 hours a week when you add that on to your main squeeze. When your downtime becomes part of your work time, it can be really hard to create balance. So the most important thing to remember though about balance is that it is just that. You're not meant to stay on a level the same all the time. We've got this access to variety and you've got this capability and versatility within you. And to work against that really just does miss the point entirely. You know, it's not always summer or winter. There are seasons. Each one is as vital as the other and only works because of the others. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button and leave me a comment. And for more information, get in touch. And to see more videos like this, or to get my latest guided relaxations, visualizations and hypnosis meditations, just hit the subscribe button and get reminders. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.